Hello and welcome to the Gipton War Room, also known as my garage, where tonight I'll be doing the very first bolt action battle report. British v Germans, Normandy, June 1944, the attack on the Grand Venture. First of all, we'll have just a quick look at my gaming table. It's MDF 6x4. Pretty much everything on here is scratch built, again using MDF. EPS, foam card, balsa wood, plastic and the like. Just have a quick walk through. Again, all the houses have been made out of EPS. Again, they're all scratch built, as you can see. Again, rubble. The roads, which again is something that I've put on Facebook in the past. Again, the roads are actually made out of carpet tile, the industrial stuff. Again, they're cut up, painted, cutting angles, laid down on the table in whichever way I want, really, for the pieces that I've got. Again, just creating a nice little road network. The trees are mainly woodland scenics armatures of various sizes. Again, rubberized horsehair stuck on top, all sprayed brown based, lichen and flock added. Again, the bocage pieces that I've got on here are all made. They are MDF bases with EPS stacked on top, and then again using a hot wire cutter, just shaping, covering with polyfiller, again rubberized horsehair, painted and then flocked. The edges of the board, again where the carpet tiles are, as you can see here, again that's just lichen which I put down, and again it's just to cover the edges and just add a little bit more of some soft cover. Again, throughout the video you may well see or notice these hooks. Again, they're just how I mount the board and basically hang it on my garage wall when it's not up. Again, the hayfields, these are just a doormat, cut up and again cut down with a Stanley knife or with scissors. Again, the edges just painted brown just to hide obviously the rubber part of the mat which was visible. All the offcuts are then used to make these haystacks. These are made by using egg boxes, and again cutting the centerpiece out, sticking it on a metal washer for some weight, painting it brown, covering it with MDF, and then again all the cut-offs from the mats sprinkled on, let to dry, watered down with PVA and sealed, and again here presto we've got some haystacks. Just a quick word on the rubble mounds around the houses. Again, these have all been made using MDF bases, just cut around. Again, they are detachable from the houses themselves. They've just simply been made by using the offcuts from the hot wire cutter. Again, when I cut and shape the damage to the houses, again stuck them in place, covered with some stone, some more EPS and then filler, and again just sprayed and painted similar to the houses. Okay, tonight's game then. The British will be attacking from the eastern edge of the board, and as you can see with the flags on the table, they have 3 objectives which they have to either clear, capture, or take, or push the enemy out. The first objective is to capture and take the village of Le Grand Venture. The second objective is to capture and push the Germans out of the wood to the south of the village. Again, the third objective is to capture, push the Germans out of the wood, again further to the west of the village. Okay, the British starting point will be, again, they'll be attacking from this edge of the table and again pushing west into the village of Le Grand Venture. The Germans will be defending from the west, and their starting position will be along this hedgerow. And again, down here across the road, past the farmhouse, past the small orchard, and here. So the German entry points will be from here. They will be allowed, obviously, some defenders already in position at the start of the game, but they may be subject to, obviously, a preliminary bombardment. Just a quick one on to the terrain finally. Again, buildings are hard cover and block line of sight, as is the bocage. Again, the bocage blocks line of sight and is also hard cover. The woods that you can see that are defined by the brown carpet tiles, they block line of sight, but they are soft cover, as is everything else that's on the table. The hayfields and again any piece of lichen that you can see, again, doesn't block line of sight, but it is soft cover. The Germans have 8 units and will deploy half at the start of the turn. The second half can come on following turn 1. The Germans have 3 infantry sections, all veteran, 2 8-man, 1 10-man, The second section actually has 2 light machine guns. Again, they are led by a veteran lieutenant and man, veteran mortar team, veteran medium machine gun MG42 mounted. Again, regular Stummel and a regular Panzerfaust. The British will fight this battle with 12 units, all of which are regular. The British have 4 rifle sections, each 10 man strong, with an SMG and Bren gun. The force is led by a lieutenant and man. It also has a Piat team, a Vickers medium machine gun, a free artillery spotter and man acting as radio operator, a 3-inch mortar and spotter, 2 Churchill tanks and 1 Stuart light reconnaissance tank. And again, the British force will come on in 2 waves. The first wave 6 units, followed by the second wave also of 6 units after turn 1. The Germans have started with 4 units on the table. They have the Stummel, which they've put in the orchard on ambush with a good line of sight straight down the main road. Their medium mortar, again behind the farmhouse, with the spotter in the top window, again with a very good field of view. The MG42 medium machine gun on the tripod mount is set up in the corner of the in the hayfield, again just behind the bowcar, so in hard cover with a good line of sight from there. And again, also in the hayfield is the 10-man infantry section. Okay, the bombardment came in, resulting in a pin on the infantry section, a pin on the mortar, and 2 pins on the Stummel. Okay, on to turn 1. The first dice out of the bag is British, and a Churchill advances down the road, taking aim at the Stummel. The Stummel, however, triggers its ambush, needing a 7 to pass its order test. Passed. The Stummel then, and only then, realises with a light howitzer it has a range of 48 inches and is out of range. The Churchill fires at long range, needing a 7 in total. Missed. The second dice out of the bag is German, and the infantry unit passes its order test and runs 12 inches towards the wood. The next dice is British, and the Stuart runs 18 inches, trying to outflank the village. Another British die, and the mortar team advances and sets up, while the spotter runs towards the church to try and gain a vantage point. Another British die, and a rifle section runs following the Stuart. British again, and the Churchill comes on at full speed with a run order. British again, and the forward artillery observer runs to the hedgerow. That's all 6 active units, British units out. The remaining 6 will all go on down orders. All the remaining German units pass their order test, with 1 section running towards the wood to the left-hand side of the village. Another section again running up to the farmhouse. The lieutenant also coming on, and the Panzerfaust advancing down the main road, taking careful aim to fire at the advancing Churchill. The Panzerfaust's advanced, it's at long range, and it's firing through hard cover, needing 7 to hit. It's a miss. As the turn comes to an end, it sees the Germans advance in strength, while the British begin to cautiously probe towards the village. On to turn 2. The first dice out is German, and this time the German Panzerfaust fires again at the Cromwell, this time only needing a 6. Miss. Next dice is German again, and the infantry section advances on the wood. British this time, and the Stuart continues its advance up to the hedgerow. German again, the Stummel passed its order test, advanced out of the orchard, and is heading towards the hayfield. British dice again, and the Churchill advances and fires its main gun, and then also its hull-mounted machine gun at the German MG42 team, needing 7s. Main gun, miss. Medium machine gun needing 7s. 1 possible. Miss. British dice, and the rifle section continues its run, again following the flanking movement of the Stuart tank. German dice, and the rifle section advances into the wood, capturing one of the objectives. British dice. But the Vickers machine gun team failed its order to come on and went down. German dice. The spotter sees the Churchill. The mortar team passes its order test, removing the pin, and fires, needing a 6. Miss. British die. And the mortar team spotter runs up into the church. Another British die, but the section fails its order test and again goes down. German die, and the lieutenant advances across the hayfield. British dice, and the rifle section passes its order test to come on and runs up towards the church. British dice, and the artillery observer calls down a barrage for the next turn onto the position of the medium machine gun. British again, rifle section passes its order test to come on and runs up behind the Churchill towards the church. British again, the lieutenant passes his order test and runs on towards the church. British again, the Piat team pass their order test and run on the table, following the rifle section and Stuart. German dice, and the MG42 medium machine gun team advance, following the section towards the woodland. British dice, and the Churchill's going to fire back at the Panzer4, also needing a 6. Miss. The last dice is German, and the infantry section goes down, holding its position. Turn 2 ends with the British now making a solid push in numbers towards their objectives. On to turn 3. At the start of turn 3, the barrage was delayed, a 3 was rolled, so the observer moved the aiming point back 8 inches, ready for the next turn. On with turn 3. The first dice is German, and the mortar team fire again at the Churchill, this time needing a 5. A miss. British dice. The Churchill advances and takes another shot at the Panzer4, but it's still at long range and still needs a 6 to hit. A miss. British dice, and the Stuart opens up both its machine guns on the Germans in the woods, needing 5s. 2 hits. The Germans are veterans, and 5s are needed to kill. No kills, but 1 pin on the unit. British dice, and the mortar fire at the German lieutenant crossing the hayfield that's been spotted from the church tower, needing a 6. Miss. German dice. The Panzer4 recklessly pushes down the main road and fires at the Churchill, closing to within half range, this time needing a 5 to hit. A miss. British dice, and the rifle section run to the hedgerow, ready to start shooting at the Germans in the woods in the next turn. German dice, the rifle section passed its order test, advanced and fired at the British infantry now lining the hedgerow. It's long range, but they've got 1 LMG and 5 rifles firing, needing 7s. 1 possible. Missed. No hits. British dice. The Churchill tank advances towards the woodland in between the church and the village, but no targets to shoot at. German dice, and the section advances to the edge of the wood, holds with the Panzerfaust gambling on the next turn, and instead turns all its firepower onto the spotter in the church, needing 7s. 1 possible. Missed. British dice, and the rifle section advances into the church grounds. British dice, and the lieutenant orders a snap 2, with himself advancing into the church grounds and the rifle section running up behind the Churchill tank. German dice, and the Stummel advances through the hayfield. British dice, rifle section passes its order test and runs up the road behind the Churchill towards the village. British dice, and the Piat team run and up into one of the houses of the village. German dice, and the MG42 team run, flanking the wood, ready to take fire at the British coming around the side of the church and in the next turn. British dice, the Vickers team passes its order test and runs on towards the village. German dice, and the lieutenant advances out of the hayfield towards the wood. British dice, and the artillery observer confirms the area for the next barrage. German dice, and the rifle section still holds its position. Well, turn 3 has seen the British again pushing into the village, but the Germans have been matching them with aggression and again pushing into key areas. All to play for in turn 4. Okay, start of turn 4. The Barrage failed to come in. Again, we rolled a 3. And the first dice out of the bag was in fact British. The Churchill roared forward towards the Germans in the wood, firing its main armament at the Germans, again needing a 4. A miss. It then also fired its better machine guns, again its full mounted one, needing 4s into the Germans. 5 hits. Okay, that's 5 hits, needing 5s on veteran infantry. 1 kill. Might be special. Nope. 1 kill and 1 pin on the unit. The next dice is British again, and the Churchill advances into the centre of the town with a clear line of sight now to the Panzerfaust and fires, needing a 4. A miss. Another British dice, and this time the spotter for the mortar team, fearful of the Panzerfaust in that German unit, calls down mortar fire onto it, this time needing a 6 to hit. Missed. British dice again, and the rifle section this time runs up to the wall of the churchyard. British dice yet again, and this time the Piat team run from house to house within the village. German dice. The rifle section in the wood passed its order test, removed its pin, and is going to fire its rifles and machine guns and SMG at the British infantry in the churchyard. But most importantly, the Panzerfaust is going to fire at the Churchill, only needing a 2. SMGs first, needing 6s. 1 hit. Light machine gun and infantry, needing 5s. 1 hit. Rifles, needing 5. 2 hits. So that's 4 hits on the infantry. Panzerfaust on the Churchill. 3, point blank. Only needing a 2 to hit. A hit. The infantry unit takes a pin, has 4 casualties, needing 4 to wound. 3 casualties, 1 potentially special. Yes! 4 casualties in total, and 1 will be the Bren gun. Okay, so that was actually 3 casualties, but the Bren gun was removed as a special wound. Now it's the time for the penetrative shot of the Panzerfaust onto the Churchill. Again, the Panzerfaust is a 6, the Churchill is a 10. Making a 9, so it just fails to penetrate. So, although it failed to penetrate, the Churchill does get a pin, and the Panzerfaust figure is now removed and replaced with a normal rifleman, because it is a 1-shot weapon. German dice and the medium machine gun team open fire on the British infantry in the churchyard, needing 5s. 1 hit. British unit now has 2 pins, and we need a 4 to convert the hit into a wound. 1 dead. The British dice and the rifle section now fire at the Germans in the wood, needing 5s. 4 for the Bren gun. Miss. 7 rifles. 2 hits. And again with the rapid fire rules, to get a further 2 shots. So that's 3 hits. 3 hits converting to wounds, needing 5. No wounds, but the German unit does get a pin. German dice and the Panzerfaust advances down the road to point blank range with the Churchill, but because the intervening hard cover still needs a 5 to hit. A miss. German dice and the lieutenant runs up to the edge of the wood. German dice and the spotter in the window brings down mortar fire on the British section behind the hedge, needing a 6. A miss, but 5 next turn. British dice and the Stuart tank opens up with its hull and turret machine guns. 10 shots, needing 5s to hit. 2, 3 hits, 4 hits. Can they convert them to wounds, needing 5s to wound? 1 wound, possibly special. Yes, so that's 1 kill, an extra pin, and the light machine gun goes from the German rifle section. British dice and the Vickers machine gun team run up to join the rifle section and Stuart tank. British dice and the rifle section run up into the town behind the Churchill. German dice and the Stummel advances out of the hayfield. British dice and the lieutenant orders a snap to himself and his 2 men running up to the church wall, and the infantry section ordered to advance and fire on the Germans in the wood. Rifles and Brens from the section needing 5s to hit. Bren gun firing first with 4. That's 1 hit. 7 rifles plus 2 for rapid fire, again needing 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. SMG firing twice, needing 6s. No hits. German rifle section has a pin, but now to convert the hits to wounds, needing 5s for veteran. No wounds. German dice and the rifle section behind the farmhouse now runs up the road towards the village. The German rifle section passed its order test, loses one of its pins, but fires back at the British infantry behind the hedge, needing 7s because of the additional pin marker. 6 riflemen fire back, needing 7s. 2 possible. No hits. British die, and the artillery observer advances towards a better position. So ends turn 4, with the British now pushing a lot of units into the town board, but the Germans still holding both hedges. Turn 5 next. Turn 5, first die out of the bag is British, and the Churchill now fires at the Panzerfaust at point blank, now only needing a 4 to hit. Churchill fires. Oh, it's a hit. Okay, the Churchill's gun is a penetration of 5 against the defence armour of the Panzerfaust of 9. The Churchill needs a 4 or more to penetrate, and it misses. The shot ricochets off the front of the Panzerfaust, no damage. Next dice is German, and the Panzerfaust fires back again, needing a 4. It passed its order test, loses the pin, fires back again, needing a 4 in this deadly duel. 4 fires and misses. British die. The Piat team advance. It passes its Tiger Fear and fires on the Panzerfaust at point blank range, needing a 3. Piat team fires and hits. Penetration of 5 again against the Panzerfaust 9, but it's side armour, so the Piat will get a +1, needing a 3 or more to penetrate. It does. Damage roll for the Panzerfaust is 4, and the vehicle is knocked out and explodes. The Panzerfaust bursts into flames and burns. That's a huge loss for the Germans. British again, and the mortar team fires on the Germans, needing 5. Mortar fires, and it's a miss. 4 next time. British dice, and the Churchill failed its order test even with the assistance of the lieutenant close by and goes down. Lucky escape for the Germans in the woods. Another British die, and the Stuart again opens fire on the Germans in the woods. 10 shots, needing 5. Stuart fires. That's 1, 2 hits. That's another pin on the unit. 5s to kill, convert the hits to wounds. 1 kill. So that's 1 pin and 1 kill on the Germans' rifle section. Another British die, and the rifle section behind the hedge again fires at the Germans in the wood, needing 5s. The Bren gun fires first, 4 shots, 1 hit. The rifles fire next with the +2 for rapid fire. Another 2 hits, that's 3 in total. The German rifle section is now up to 3 pins, 5s to wound. No kills, but that German section has now got 3 pins. At last, the German die, and the mortar team fires at the British infantry in the hedge, needing a 5. And it's a miss, but they need a 4 next time. German dice, and the MG42 team fire at the British rifle section in the churchyard, needing 5s. 6 shots, 2 hits. That's another pin on the rifle section. That section's up to 3 pins now. Can they convert the hits to kills? Needing 4s. 1 dead. Is it special? It is. The NCO is killed from that section. The German dice, and the German rifle section passes its order test just with the help of the lieutenant close by, and fires again at the British rifle section in the churchyard, already taking casualties and up to 3 pins. The rifles and light machine guns open up, needing 5s. That's another 4 hits, 5 hits on that unit, and another pin. The SMG now fires, needing 6s. No. So the rifle section takes 5 hits and another pin, converting the hits to wounds. And that's 3 casualties, 4 casualties for the British. That's over half of what they have remaining. A morale test. The British section failed its morale test, and the single figure remaining retreats from the battlefield. The British die, and the rifle section runs into the building for hard cover. German dice, and the Stummel advances and fires at the building it's just seen the British infantry run into, needing a 4. Stummel fires and hits. Stummel's light howitzer has 2 hits in the building, and again needing only 2s to cause casualties. That's 1 hit, 1 could be critical, and it is. So that's a pin on the unit, and the Bren gunner killed by the explosion. German dice. The rifle section goes to fire at the British, fails its order, and goes down. Next dice is German, and the lieutenant advances into the wood. Next one is a British die, and the artillery spotter calls in for fire on the next turn on the Germans in the wood. The British dice, and the rifle section advances up into the village. German dice, and the rifle section advances from the road into the wood. A British die, and the Vickers teams runs into the house, ready to fire at the Germans in the wood next turn. British die, and the lieutenant and his 2 riflemen fire at the Germans in the woods, needing 4s. The British fire, 3 rifles with a +1 for rapid fire, needing 4s. 1 hit. That's a pin on the German rifle section. Now to convert the hit to a casualty, needing a 5, and that's another kill. So that's 1 pin and 1 kill to the German rifle section in the wood. Turn 5 ends with the Panzerfaust burning in the village, and the British pushing further and further in, taking control. The Germans, however, consolidating their positions in the woods. All to play for in turn 6. Will the artillery barrage come in? And if it does, will it cause casualties to the British being so close? Turn 6. The barrage came in. A 6 was rolled, giving a 12-inch diameter, meaning that targets that are going to suffer under the barrage, the German section, rifle section, the machine gun, the Stummel, but also the Churchill, the spotter, and the lieutenant and his men may all become casualties from the British bombardment. The barrage comes down, and all the units take pins except the Stummel that takes a direct hit. The pins are calculated for each unit after the barrage, but the Stummel is destroyed and bursts into flames. A disaster for the Germans at the start of turn 6. The spotter passed its test and the mortar fired, but missed. 3 next time for the British mortar. A British die. The Churchill advances through the town and fires on the Germans in the wood with its turret and hull machine guns. The Churchill fires 10 shots, needing 5s, and scores 4 hits. Now needing to wounds on 5. That's no hits, but another pin on the German rifle section. The Churchill passes its order test, takes its pins down to 2, and opens fire with its hull and turret machine guns at the Germans in the woods, needing 6s to hit. The Churchill fires 10 shots, needing 6. 1 hit. So that's another pin on the German unit, but no casualties. But that German rifle section is now up to 5 pins. German dice, and the German rifle section that had taken some casualties passed its order test and pulled back to the back of the wood. The British section passes its order test and fires all its rifles at the Germans in the wood, needing 6s. There are 8 shots, but 2 additional rapid fire, so 10 dice in total for the British. 10 dice for the British rifle section, needing 6s. That's 2 hits, that's another pin on the German section. Can we convert these to casualties, needing 5s? No kills, but another pin. That German rifle section is now up to 6 pins. British dice is drawn, and the Piat team go down, securing the objective. German dice and the rifle section rallied, taking its pins down to 3. The German dice is drawn, and the lieutenant passed its order test and went down on the objective in the woods. German dice is drawn, the machine gun team passed its order test and fires at the lieutenant in the churchyard. 6 shots, needing 5. Machine gun fires, and that's 2 hits. That's an extra pin on the lieutenant. His man, neither score casualties, but another pin on the lieutenant. The British die, and the rifle section runs across the road into the corner house. The British now have infantry units in all 4 buildings of the village. British die, and the Vickers opens up from the window on the Germans in the woods. 5 shots, needing 5s. The Vickers fires. 3 hits. It now needs to convert them to casualties, needing 5. 1 casualty, so that's 1 pin and 1 casualty on the German rifle section in the woods. The German die, and the mortar team fires at the British rifle section behind the hedge, now needing a 4 to fires, and hits. 4 British riflemen are under the 2-inch mortar template. 4 hits, needing 2s. 3 hits to the British, and D3 pins, 3 pins, so 3 kills and 3 pins. The British die, and the rifle section rallies, removes all its pins, and will hope to move first in the next turn to avoid being struck again by the mortar, now only needing a 1. German die, and the German rifle section passes its order, removes its pin, and is going to fire at the British infantry behind the hedge. The 2 light machine guns fire first. 10 shots, needing 6s. 2 hits, that's a pin on the British unit. Can we convert those hits to casualties, needing 4s? They do. 2 more British riflemen are casualties and another pin back on that unit. 2 riflemen fire, also needing 6s. No hits. British die. The lieutenant passes his order test, rallies and loses all his pins. The last die is British, and the Stuart advances and opens fires with its machine guns on the Germans in the woods. The Stuart fires, needing 5. 1, 2, 3 hits. Now to convert those hits into casualties, needing 5s again. 2 hits. 1 to be special, and it isn't. So that's 2 casualties and 1 pin on that rifle section in the woods, and that brings the battle to an end. And so after 6 turns, the game ends a draw. The British hold the village, but the Germans still hold the woods either side. And both sides have taken casualties and lost units. Hope you enjoyed it. Made a lot of rules mistakes, I know. I tell you, I take my hat off to YouTubers such as Tabletop CP, Kitchen Wargamers, Bringer by Battle. I've enjoyed watching them for the last couple of years, and I now know it's a lot harder than I thought to make a battle report video. I've certainly learned a lot for next time. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you next time.